So this is the video debrief for the Friday Scent Work Club at the San Gabriel Foothills Trial in Burbank. We're at Woodbury University. Been a really pretty emotional day actually. 9 dogs passed out of 45, but not only that, the old dogs just nailed it. And we had a 14-year-old dog that was skipping to the start line. I even cried. My friend Scott was just like, "Are you crying?" I was just like, no, I'm not crying. Didn't quite work how I expected. And we're going to go through this because I'm not quite sure why. All the hides in my mind were very straightforward and doable, but somehow it just didn't really gel together for the teams. And I think that just happens in detective, and sometimes it just goes that way. But like I said, we had 9 out of 45 pass, so that's a good pass rate. I'd have preferred a little higher, but so be it. So the start line was here. We had a total of 9 hides, which again is pretty unusual for me, but it worked out well. I thought it was a nice thing for the dogs to do. The air temperature changed dramatically throughout the day. It was really cloudy to start with, and now it's really sunny. We had lots of wind shifts, which caused some issues. And basically the dogs just didn't go there. A couple of hides that really became problematic, but let's go and have a look at what we had. So all of this was in play. We had a couple of people spend a lot of time over here fantasizing about hides in dirt. There was nothing here. And there's a distractor there. Remember, there can be no hide within 2 feet of a distractor. So, you know, that really is pretty clear no-go zone in my opinion. So the first hide was a threshold hide, and it's down here on the end of the bench. Most dogs got it, and if they didn't get it straight off the bat, they may have come back. I think 2 dogs missed it completely and never came back, but if they came back, they got it. And then the second hide was up here, and this was super interesting. When I set this, I really didn't think this was going to happen. So the second hide is here, it's actually right there, but the odor was whipping around here, and I didn't see this when I set it, that there's a gap here in the concrete, and a lot of the odor went out and hit this, I think that's a laurel bush, and then came back. So I was talking to Scott and said, gosh, I didn't realize that was what was going to happen. I didn't see that. Fortunately, the dogs didn't jump off the cliff and leave. They actually turned around and then hit the hide. So but they did do a lot of turning into it. Some dogs came up here and then came around this way. It really depended on what was going on with the wind. And like I said, it kept changing. So it was really, really interesting actually. I thought these were pretty straightforward, to be honest. And then, this is where all the fun started. The search area goes down this ramp. Let's go down and have a look. So down this ramp, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but we go down this ramp down to here, and then everything inside this cones was in play. And a lot of dogs, no, I'm going to change that. A lot of handlers search the railings a lot. I don't know how to put a hide on a railing, guys, so I wouldn't know what to do with that, but a lot of dogs were going up on the railings, and I think it was really the handlers that were staying there causing this up behavior rather than any odor movement. I think they were just like, well, you're standing here, so I'm just going to look cute and go up. Great pictures probably. Nothing in the vegetation, obviously it's me, but then all around here, and then this became really interesting. In the video, I talked about how I love trash can hides now because of Hawaii, and we had a hide dead center in this trash can underneath, and some of the dogs got it on that side, some of the dogs got it on this side. Some of the handlers were a little bit trash can shy, but eventually they called it. But it was very interesting in how the dogs worked. They'd come down here and they would come and they'd go, and then they would just stop and they'd turn around and bracket it a little bit and then make a decision. So again, fairly stable if the handlers got here. Some of the handlers didn't get down here. And then around the corner, there was a hide on this bench at the end. Again, to me, very straightforward, nothing too exciting about it. Yet it became pretty exciting. Early on, the first dogs that ran just showed no odor reaction to this at all, and just went past and missed it. I don't know what, then the wind picked up and then some of them got it and then it died again. A lot of dogs came down here, worked some of these railings and then went back, and some dogs just missed it completely. There was no real mishandling here. The odor just was not available to them at that time. That happens. I mean, it is detective. But none of the hides were not found. You know, we had 9, and there was nothing really consistently that was going wrong, apart from one thing inside became a thing. So this was all the hides outside, and people spent a lot of time on these steps. Again, I don't know how to put a hide on a step, but they seem to get excited about that. But some really interesting stuff going on here. A lot of handlers got stuck in this little cubby area. What's happening is it's really cold inside now, and the odor's coming out, and I think it's pooling over there somehow. I can't quite work out how that's happening, but I think that's what's happening. And these dogs were going all over the place. They were just like going up and up and up. A lot of handlers were very excited about these top railings. I don't know how you get a hide in there, but a couple of dogs alerted on that wooden block, but they just stayed in here a long time, and it wasn't productive. There was nothing productive about this area at all. And these are detective dogs, and you know, in my opinion, if they're not making a decision and alerting quickly, then there's no odor there, and there's something about how you're handling to keep them in there. But then we went inside, and this got kind of exciting. So really cool, cold temperature now. As I said in the walkthrough video, there's a high ceiling, there's a very slick floor that did cause the odor to slide. It did exactly what I thought it would do, which is nice to know that I know what I'm doing. There's a hide here on this little table. I think everybody got this at some stage. My romantic idea was going to be that they would come in and they would hit the hide here and then swing out and hit the hide there. That's what the demo dog did, and I expected that to happen. It didn't happen at all like that. A lot of the times the dogs came in, missed these 2 tables completely, and just drove to this desk, which there's a hide behind the desk. Just to go back, there's a mirror hide on that table. So there's 2 hides, 1, 2 on those tables. You know me, I'd like mirror hides. And it's nice and stable on that mat. That's why I put it there, so that the odor didn't slide too much compared to on this slick floor. So I tried to protect the odor as much as possible. If there hadn't been a mat there, I probably wouldn't have put a hide there. But then here, behind the desk, there's a chair here, and the hide is just under the chair here. Dogs just came in, sorted it out. If they got here, they were fine. Some of the handlers, the dogs just dashed through and they didn't come back. You know, if that's how your dog works, then maybe that's your expectation. I don't know. I think I would have come back in here. There were no hides up on this platform. Again, this really slick floor, I would probably not put hides anywhere on there because, again, I truly believe the odor would slide. I considered the Woodbury University thing there, but then I thought, well, no, it's just going to slide on the floor, so I'm going to leave that and just have that blank. And only 1 dog forced up there, and everybody else searched it and cleared it really well. Then we had 2 more hides left, and this is where the fun started. Right in the beginning, this hide here, hide number 8, started to sort of fill in this area. Now, if you look at the ceiling's slightly lower than there, so I would expect that. What I didn't expect is for them to really work this whole thing. We got a lot of dogs jumping up here, we got a lot of dogs going off to the right, a lot of dogs on the trash can, a lot of dogs really focused on this door handle. And so again, I don't know how I'd put a hide on here, but I suppose somebody could. And then they worked it back and they got it. And it was really lovely to watch, actually. The handlers held off, they just let the dogs work it out, and it was really, really nice. But they had to just let them work it out. I think only a couple of, I don't think anybody falsed here. They actually worked it out and got there. Oh my God, I can smell the odor from here. Then the last hide of the day, which was very interesting. Very, very interesting. So the hide is in here. And it's just right there. Really simple, straightforward hide. But what happened was, and this happened throughout the day, it wasn't a time thing of it being later in the day or earlier in the day. Throughout the day this was happening, is the dogs would come in, they would come under the water fountain, check it, look at their owners, and the handlers would call it before the dogs had really finished solving the problem, in my opinion. The dogs had no problem getting the hide, even the little ones. We had a lovely little dog that was just like, here, didn't do anything over here. But they had to come into the corner. We had one handler who was brilliant, didn't call this dog alert on here, but he knew it didn't feel quite right, so he just stopped, and then the dog was there and went straight into there. We had a couple of dogs, which was really gorgeous, where they would come up and they'd put their feet here, and then they'd just lean back and say, oh, it's over behind my shoulder. Really cool, actually. A lot of Vizslas in this trial, and the Vizslas seem to be very good at that. So, in my opinion, the hide was working how I expected it. I don't know how to put hide on a water cooler, and I probably never would. There's nowhere to really put it. And I did expect that to become, part of the picture, that they needed to work back to that hide. But I didn't expect so many dogs to fully alert on it. And honestly, I'm not sure they really did alert. Well, I think the handlers might have called it a little too soon, because the dogs that got the cues and the handler just waited them out, they said, oh no, it's right here, and solved the issue very nicely, actually. But it was pretty hairy. But all in all, I think a great search. I would prefer a slightly higher cue rate, but I think the hides are simple and straightforward, and it's just one of those things that happens. Some great dogs today.